Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, September 4th, 2025, right? So we start off with Johnny and Chanel. So Johnny finally has a job, an extra job at that. So, congrats to him for moving on out of the mayor mansion, settling down, and not depending on, the trust fund and everything, right? So he got the professor job at SLMU, and he's excited to, teach his students what he knows about film and media. So Chanel is happy for him, and Chanel is glad that they can go past this trial. Even though he has to attend this hearing, is the last thing that they need to achieve some closure on this thing. He's a free man, and they're free to do whatever they want for the rest of their lives. So they're just happy about that whole moment, right? So you know, the professor job, I guess, is gonna afford him, a limited time to be there so that he can still commit to his job with Titan. And I'm saying, how lucky is he to have a corporate job and a professor job? These are high paid jobs. So kudos to Johnny for not being a trust fund baby no more and just really moving forward with his life. Finally being the grown man he's supposed to be, right? So Tony and EJ are talking, and Tony was asking him if he wants to join him for a late breakfast. So he said no, he has some errands to do before attending the hearing. So Tony is still grappling with the fact that Kristen admitted to shooting him as well as letting Johnny take the fall for it. And EJ's answer towards that is just nonchalant. Like he's like, okay, it is what it is. Let's move forward. So Tony's surprised at that because again, it was his son that was caught in the crossfire. Like he's expecting EJ to be a lot more angry about the situation. So he said, look, Kristen's taking accountability for things, and we just need to move forward. My son is free. It is what it is with that, right? So, anyways, moving on to other conversation. Tony did tell him that before he leaves Salem, he's still working on taking back the company. So he just asked him how it's going. So he said that, he has somebody that is, helping to sabotage the whole takeover between the Mirror and Titan, and he should be hearing back from them soon. So EJ did ask if Rita did find out any information from the disgruntled Titan Demir employee. So he said no, he didn't use Rita, he has somebody else on the inside. So it's going well so far, right? So Brady and Belle are talking. Belle brought him some breakfast to cheer him up because today Tate moved out to go to college, and then it's also Rachel's first day of elementary, well, her last year in elementary school, but first day back there, right? So she knows how that could be bittersweet. He said that even though that's happening, he's more just on the edge to actually tell his daughter that, look, her mom will be going away for who knows how long, right? So now he's wondering how he's going to break that news to her. And she asked him if he told her that her mom was getting sentenced today. He said no, he didn't want to put that burden on her, right? So anyways, they just talk about how, the situation is and how rough it is. That they have to go through this with Rachel, and she's already been through so much, right? At some point, Marlena comes in and, they ask how she's doing and about the hearing and everything. So Marlena asks Bella if she can talk to her in private. It's very important, right? So Brady leaves at this point. Back to Chanel and Johnny's place. Chanel asks Johnny if he wanted her to come to the hearing. So he said no, he's fine, he got it, she said, I just still can't believe your aunt did this. So Johnny's trying to be, sincere about this, that, again, she did take accountability for this. As much as he's angry at what she did, he also understands that it's going to affect Rachel in the end. And he is also happy that she took responsibility for the crime that she committed, right? So anyways, Chanel goes off to the bakery and she sees E.G. She's like, what do you want? Because she doesn't want to see him after what he did to her in court. So he said, I'm here to see my son. Chanel is being that bodyguard, like, no, you can't see him. So Johnny said, it's okay, I'll handle this. So she goes. So Johnny's like, what is it? Make it quick. So he said, I just wanted to tell you what I heard from Gwen, who heard from Leo, that, look, the verdict was going to swing your way. And, EJ had the nerve to really take the opportunity to tell Johnny that, look, if it wasn't for me that defended you well in court and all of that and did all my tactics, you would probably be sitting in the jail. And I'm like, EJ, this is not the way to rekindle any relationship with your son by doing that, right? So Johnny's like, you wasted all the time to come here to tell me that. So it's like saying, okay, you were mad at me for how I, represented you in court. I just want to let you know that, it's all paid off. You're free and all of that. So Johnny said, look, like, I'm not mad at you creating reasonable doubt. I was mad at how you treated Aunt Belle and you guys' relationship, and then how you railroaded my wife and you created that fake video. So he said he didn't do it, but Johnny already knew that he did it and he need to save it. So he said, look, like, I love you and I always will love you, but I have to create distance between you now and ever. Like, it can't work out. And we understand that this is what it is because, EJ is a toxic parent, and we all know that toxic parents, sometimes you have to create some distance. You can love them from a distance, and that's fine, right? He asked him to stay away from the hearing out of respect for him. And even though he's a victim, he just doesn't want him to be there for his sake and for Belle's sake. So speaking of Belle and Marlena, Marlena is just asking Belle to just take it easy with Kristen. you know, it's been a lot for Rachel. Do it for Rachel's sake. So she said she was already going to ask the judge to be lenient on Kristen, given Rachel, right? So she still is upset at Kristen because she's a bad mom and, she did this, not thinking about her daughter and how it would affect her. So how could she do this to her? So at some point, Marlena said, like, enough trying to, plaster Kristen as this bad mom. At the end of the day, she's taking responsibility for what she did. And I don't think this is healthy, especially for Rachel's sake, to be, going over and over on Kristen. So at some point, she realized she snapped on Belle. She apologized and she just said, look, she's been on edge. She hasn't been sleeping. And, Belle said, you're right. I need to be thinking about Rachel. I'm just angry at the situation and that Kristen wasted all this time when we didn't have to go through all this trial, and then how Johnny's affected. So she asked her mom about the therapy session with EJ and that if she knew that Kristen was the female shooter. So she said she had her suspicions, but she couldn't say much. She wanted to wait a little bit until Kristen came forward, which she did. So Belle said, I could have helped you find out for sure who was behind the shooting. So she said she didn't want to do that, right? So anyways, Marlena said that, look, it is what it is with it now, I would not have let Johnny go to jail for this. I would do anything for my family. And Belle understands that, right? So Chanel is on her way to work and she sees Brady, and Brady is meaning to talk to her. I guess with everything going on with Johnny. So he's just happy that Johnny is home and free, and he's happy for the two of them. And they start talking about the whole adoption thing and how Tate is doing. And she said even though she's mad at Kristen, she can understand how it must be affecting Rachel. And he said he has two children that went through their moms going to jail, and it's just been a bit rough. So anyway, she said she saw Tate at the pub weeks ago and how he was still down about the baby being adopted. And Brady's just shedding some light on it that the adopted parents are very sketchy. He didn't get to reach out to them. He doesn't know who they are. And Tate wanted to open adoption to see the baby, at least have some pictures, but that hasn't been successful. So he didn't want to bring it up because of Chanel and how she felt about it initially. So she said, we're all good. I was sad about not being able to adopt their baby, but, we will have that chance at another time. So he said, are you and Johnny still trying? So he said, she said, yeah, we're not giving up. At some point, she was alone in the square. She sees the headline about the baby Tesaro, the one that was left at the firehouse, that he's viable for adoption. It's been 14 days, so the biological parents can't relinquish their rights or get their, hands on him. So now she's thinking, maybe it might have a chance to really adopt the baby. But I'm saying you need to talk to your husband first time about this. Like, maybe still not ready yet. Now, remember that Gabby found out the whole bombshell that's going on at Titan the Mirror between Xander and Philip. So she took her way over to the Mary Mansion to tell Tony about it, because at some point she is contemplating whether she should go through with it, because she's thinking of how Xander was kind to her when Ari went missing, and also the time when she spent the time she spent with Philip in bed. And she's thinking, should I double cross them? But turns out she did, right? So she went over to the Mary. She talked to Tony and said that, look, I have what is important to get back to Mary into your hands. So she played some of the message that she heard, of the conversation between the Kyriakis brothers. So Tony's listening to it, and she's saying, like, what do we do next? So he said, absolutely nothing. So she's saying, like, excuse me, what do you mean nothing? So he said that we can't be irrational about this. We have to play it very smart. So she said we don't have time, because you didn't listen to most of the conversation where Xander is going to legally make Philip his co-CEO. And, maybe we can't, do any takeover or do anything else because of that. So he said, there's still the fact that, there was fraud committed. So just play it smart. That's what we have to do. So Gabby doesn't like the idea, but Gabby said, look, I'll hold up my end of the bargain. You need to come up with that part where I am made CEO of the mayor again, right? So he said, I'll handle the rest. So she leaves and he's laughing. But I have a feeling that this is just going to be one big difficult mistake, and Gabby is going to suffer in the end. And I am here for it, because I am not absolutely here for how she did Xander and Philip. Like, they were actually kind to her, but still, Gabby is always going to be looking out for Gabby. Now, the hearing is in session, and Johnny and Belle are there, Kristen. So the judge is allowing everybody involved to, like, say what they're thinking, their statements, anything like that. So the judge asked Kristen what is her plea, has it changed? So she hasn't retracted her statement. She said she's still going forward as guilty, right? So she asks Belle, what is her statement, and Belle is saying that, look, I agree with the plea. We the people are asking for a reduced sentence for the defendant, right? So the judge asked Johnny his statement, because he was affected in the process, right? So he said that, look, even though I'm angry with what my aunt did and putting me through this, I do think about her as family, and how it would affect her daughter, my cousin. At the end of the day, like, I am asking for leniency, and I'm asking for a reduced sentence as well, right? So she asked Kristen to also say her piece, and she said that, look, I apologize to Johnny for putting you through this, and I apologize that I didn't come sooner, and how it affected our family, and I'm just hoping that our family can move forward, that you can forgive me in the long run. And Johnny seemed as if he's understanding, and it went well, and all I can do is just be sorry for Kristen in the process, right? So she said, is that it? So Brady comes in, and Billy's like, what are you doing here? So Brady said, I was contemplating whether I should come or not, but I just wanted to advocate for my daughter, and I'm asking for the maximum sentence, which was 10 years, as it just said, right? So he's saying that this woman has proved to be manipulative, destructive, violent over the years, and it has always affected our daughter immensely, right? So Kristen got up and said that, look, Brady, I'm doing it for our daughter. So, the judge said you would have your time to say anything else. So, let Brady say what he needs to say. So he said that he said his piece, and, that was really it, right? So the judge took everything into consideration, and, Kristen did mention that, look, at the end of the day, she's teaching her daughter accountability. She's teaching her daughter to just, stand up for anything that she did wrong. She needs to just take responsibility. And the judge take everything into consideration, said that, look, I'm going to meet in the middle. I'm sentencing you to 6 years, right? So, Brady was fine with it, and that was really it. But I just feel bad for Kristen that she has to go through this, and Brady doesn't know exactly, and how he's just disrespecting her. I know it's gonna bite him in the butt when he finds out the actual truth. So EJ comes over to Marlena's, and Marlena thought that he would be at the hearing, but he said, out of respect for Johnny, I'm not going to be there. So she said, I'm surprised that you would not be there to see if Kristen retracted her statement. So he said that no, I know that Kristen will not retract it because she is trying to protect Rachel. And that's what I'm asking you to do. Keep the secret as you have been keeping and not telling anybody, not even Brady. So she said it's killing her not to tell Brady, but she understands and she doesn't want Brady to worry. And, he has a lot on his plate already. So, the less people that is unknown to this thing, the better, right? So, anyways, he did tell Marlena that he found out that the verdict was gonna become innocent for Johnny regardless. So she's like saying, EJ, I told you to wait and all of that. So we need to tell Kristen. So he's saying it's best not to tell Kristen at this point. We just need to just keep it quiet. And then that's what I'm asking you to do. And I'm saying, EJ, this was just unnecessary. You could have just waited, but I get. At the same time, you just wanted your son to be free, but still, now poor Kristen have to do something, and Marlena feels bad, and it's really something that Marlena feels bad for Kristen because given their history over the years, I mean, it's just so touching. EJ did write a statement. I forgot to mention EJ did give the judge a statement to read on his behalf, and he's asking for leniency, reduced sentence, and just for the better outcome for his niece Rachel, right? Now back to the Kyriakis brothers, right? So Xander is suggesting that, he legally makes Philip CEO of the company as well, like legitimately. And Philip is not hearing this because, again, he's just tired of the toxic environment. He's just tired of the back and forth between him and Xander, the blatant disrespect towards him. And Xander said that, look, it will be different this time. I'm doing anger management therapy. I'm trying to make a better effort. So while this is going on, Philip is over there annoyingly chewing on some jelly beans. And I'm saying, can't he be serious for once? That he's just really irritated. I could get why he's annoying and getting on Xander's nerves, but it is comedic relief. At some point when he started choking on them, I honestly laughed. Forgive me, but I honestly laughed. But Xander went over there and gave the Heimlich, and he dislodged some jelly bean out of his mouth. He's like, good God, what's wrong with you? So Philip is like, you passed the test. So he's like, huh? He said, oh, I wasn't really choking on it. I just want to see if you were going to save me or let me die. So he's like, maybe I should have just let you do that. And maybe I need to just, rethink this whole thing, right? So it's like, no need, I can, if you even do that, I will just walk away. It's nothing to me to quit. But Xander wants this to work for Victoria and for the future generations, and he's willing to put his feelings aside. And Philip agrees, and they want to go down to the legal office, but he said he got to work on the terms first. So he's trying to write, and then the penning gets dry, right? So he's like, what's going on? So he unscrews and he sees like screw, I guess, some device inside. He's like, what is this? So hopefully they find out who is behind this and quickly. But that is it, guys. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.